Why did you bring orange juice instead of pineapple? Foolish girl!
No,
What is
please!
this outrage? You insolent
My eyes, I can't see! My eyes, I can't
You
see!
must marry her. You made her blind. I will not marry a poor, dirty, uneducated girl.
Arrogant billionaire punched and blinded his poor maid, but was forced to choose between marrying her or losing everything he owned. The plane finally landed in the heart of the city. Passengers stood up, pulled down their bags, and began to move toward the exit. Among them was Mr. Williams Hillary, tall, broad, dressed in an expensive cream suit that screamed money. His wristwatch alone could buy a small house. His face was hard, cold, and serious, like a man who never smiled unless it benefited him. As he stepped out of the airport, warm air hit his face. He adjusted his sunglasses and stood still, scanning the area. His driver was nowhere to be found. 5 minutes passed, 10 minutes passed. Mr. Williams' jaw tightened. His fingers clenched around his travel bag. Just then, a luxury car rushed in and stopped sharply. The driver jumped out, sweating and breathing hard. "Sorry, sir. Traffic held me." Before the man could finish his sentence, "Pa!" The sound of the slap echoed through the airport entrance. People gasped. The driver staggered back, shocked, holding his cheek. "I will slap you again if you open that useless mouth," Mr. Williams shouted. "Take me home now before I fire you." The driver bowed his head, trembling, and quickly opened the car door. Mr. Williams entered the car without another word. The engine started, and they drove off. Inside the car, silence filled the air. The driver dared not speak. His hands shook as he held the steering wheel. Mr. Williams stared out the window like a king who believed the world existed only to serve him. Soon, they arrived at the Hillary family mansion. It was a large, beautiful house, quiet, peaceful, filled with flowers and trimmed lawns. Mr. and Mrs. Hillary rushed out when they heard the car. "My son!" Mrs. Hillary cried happily. They hugged him warmly. Their faces were filled with joy. Unlike their son, they were gentle and kind people. Everyone in the neighborhood respected them. They went inside together and sat down to eat. The atmosphere was calm. Mr. Hillary asked about his trip. Mrs. Hillary asked if he was tired. Williams replied with short answers, uninterested. Then, something changed. As they sat at the dining table, a young girl entered the room quietly. She was slim, dark-skinned, and wore simple maid clothes. She walked carefully, holding a tray with both hands. On the tray were glasses of fresh orange juice. Her name was Sharon. She approached Mr. Williams respectfully and bent slightly as she served him the glass. "Welcome, sir," she said softly. Mr. Williams looked at the glass, his face twisted in disgust. Suddenly, he lifted the glass and poured the juice on Sharon's body. The cold liquid soaked her dress. "What is this nonsense?" he shouted. "Why would you give me orange juice instead of pineapple?" The room went silent. Mrs. Hillary's mouth opened in shock. Mr. Hillary slammed his hand on the table. "Williams," his father shouted, "apologize to her immediately." But Williams stood up angrily. "I didn't ask for orange juice," he barked. "This house is full of useless people." Then he stormed out of the dining room and went upstairs, slamming the door behind him. Sharon stood frozen. Her hands trembled. Juice dripped from her clothes to the floor. Her eyes burned, but she refused to cry in front of them. "Oh, my dear," Mrs. Hillary said gently, rushing to her. "I'm so sorry. Please forgive him. He just returned and needs rest." "Yes," Mr. Hillary added sadly. "Please don't mind him." Sharon nodded silently, picked up the tray, and walked out. The moment she entered the kitchen, tears poured from her eyes. That was the first time she had ever seen Mr. Williams, and he had treated her like dirt. She leaned against the wall, crying quietly so no one would hear her. She had only come to this house to help her sick mother. Her mother used to work here, but was now too weak to stand. Sharon stepped in so they could earn small money for food and medicine. She never imagined this was what she would face. She wiped her tears, washed her face, and continued working, but something inside her heart broke that day. From that day, Sharon's life became unbearable. Mr. Williams complained about everything. One day he would say the rice was too soft. Another day he said the soup had no taste. Another day he turned down a glass of water, saying it wasn't cold enough. Sometimes he would look at Sharon and laugh. "You smell like poverty," he said once. Another time he mocked her English, saying she speaks like a village girl. "Poor rat," he sneered. Every word felt like a slap, and Sharon felt humiliated. Sharon worked harder than ever. She cleaned the house, washed clothes, cooked meals, and served quietly. She never talked back and never argued, but nothing pleased him. One morning after breakfast, Williams pointed at her and shouted, "Next time I complain, I will throw you out of this house myself." He called her lazy and incompetent, saying she wasn't worthy to serve him or come any close to him. Mr. and Mrs. Hillary saw everything and felt heartbroken. "Williams, please," his mother begged one day. "She is only trying to help. Stop treating her with disrespect." His father added, "Treat people with kindness." But Williams rolled his eyes and walked away unbothered. At night, Sharon cried in her room. She wondered if he had treated her mother the same way when she worked here. She prayed every night, wishing he would leave. 2 days later, Williams packed his bags and left his parents' house to return to his own mansion. That day, Sharon danced happily in the kitchen and smiled for the first time in days, thinking her nightmare was over. But she didn't know her biggest pain was still coming. Mr. Williams was a powerful man in the city. He managed one of the biggest hotels in town owned by his father. His name opened doors. His money silenced mouths. He was very strict with his staff, dishing out orders and threatening to sack them every now and then. That same week, he won a huge contract, a deal worth millions. He was happy and proud. As he reviewed the documents at his office, his phone rang. It was his mother. "Your father just slumped," she cried. Without thinking, Williams grabbed the yet-to-sign contract paper and rushed home. He threw the paper on the table and ran upstairs to see his father. Unknowingly to him, the paper landed on the floor instead of the table. Upstairs, the doctor later said Mr. Hillary would be fine and just needs rest. Everyone relaxed. Williams seized the opportunity and informed his parents about the big contract. They were overjoyed and proud of their son. Downstairs, Sharon was cleaning. She didn't know that Williams was present in the mansion. While cleaning, she noticed a paper on the floor. It looked useless and forgotten. Without reading it, she picked it up and threw it in the trash. Hours later, Williams came downstairs. He froze. "Where is the paper I left here?" he asked himself. He searched the table. Nothing. He ran upstairs. Nothing. He searched everywhere but did not see the paper. His fist twisted in anger. "Sharon!" he screamed. Sharon froze. Her heart began to race. She recognized that voice, the one voice she dreaded so much. "What did I do now?" she whispered to herself. She rushed out and stepped into the living room. Mr. Williams stood there, eyes burning with rage. "Where is the paper I left here?" he shouted. "I didn't see any paper on the table, sir," she replied softly. He stepped closer. "There was a paper," he roared. Then her memory hit her. Her eyes widened. "I saw one paper on the floor," she said shakily. "I thought it was trash. I threw it away." Before Sharon could finish her sentence, everything happened at once. Mr. Williams' face twisted with rage. His eyes burned like fire. Without warning, he lifted his hand and punched Sharon directly in the face, straight on her eye. The sound was sharp and terrible. Sharon screamed and fell to the floor. "Oh my God!" Mrs. Hillary screamed, rushing down the stairs. She ran to Sharon and knelt beside her, shaking. "Call the driver! Call the doctor! Please, hurry!" The The driver rushed in and lifted Sharon, then rushed her to the hospital immediately. Mr. Williams stood there breathing heavily. His chest rose and fell, but there was no regret in his eyes. "Check the dustbin," he ordered the gateman coldly. "Find that paper." The gateman ran into the kitchen and returned minutes later, holding the contract paper carefully. "Sir," he said, "the paper is here. It's not torn. It's clean." Mr. Williams grabbed it and scoffed. "She's lucky," he said. "If this paper had one stain, she would already be dead." He turned and walked out of the house like nothing had happened. At the hospital, doctors worked quickly. Nurses rushed in and out. Sharon lay on the bed, crying softly, her hands shaking. After a long time, the doctor came out. "The damage is severe," he said gently. "The eye socket is badly injured. She will never see with that eye again, unless by the grace of God." Mrs. Hillary burst into tears, crying deeply in sorrow. Sharon had lost her sight, and the man who caused it didn't even look back. Days later, Sharon returned to the Hillary mansion, but she was not the same girl. One of her eyes was covered with a white bandage. Her body was weak and her steps were slow, but the deepest pain was inside her heart. Mr. and Mrs. Hillary were ashamed. They treated Sharon like their own daughter. They brought her food, checked on her every hour, and spoke gently to her. But guilt sat heavily on their hearts. How would they tell her poor, sick mother? How would they say, "Your daughter lost her eye while working for us"? These thoughts weighed them down and made them deeply unhappy. Sharon stayed in her room most days. The house was quiet. No laughter, no music, no peace. She touched the bandage often, as if hoping it would disappear. She remembered her dreams. She remembered how she once believed her life would get better, but now everything felt dark. At night, she cried silently into her pillow. Mr. Hillary couldn't sleep. He walked around his room, his heart heavy. His wife sat beside him, crying quietly. "This is too much," he finally said. "My son has crossed the line." "What will we do?" his wife asked. Mr. Hillary clenched his fists. "Williams must pay. Not with money, but responsibility." He picked up his phone and called his son. "Come to the house today," he said firmly. "We need to talk." That afternoon, Mr. Williams walked into the house, chewing gum, looking proud and careless. He walked past Sharon, sitting quietly on the couch. He gave her a mocking smile and walked upstairs. Mr. Hillary sat on the bed waiting. "Sit down," he said. Williams sat lazily. "What you did to Sharon is evil," his father began. "You damaged her life. You took her eye. Do you even care?" Williams laughed. "She almost cost me millions," he said. "It's her fault." "Enough," Mr. Hillary shouted. "You destroyed her future." Williams scoffed. "Who would have married a poor girl like her anyway?" Mr. Hillary looked at his son with deep disappointment. "You will marry her," he said calmly. Williams froze. "What?" he shouted. "You heard me," his father replied. "You will marry Sharon and take responsibility." Williams burst into laughter. "Marry that blind, dirty girl?" he mocked. "Never." Mr. Hillary's voice became cold. "Then I will take everything from you," he said. "Your houses, your cars, your hotels, everything. I will also report you to the police." Williams' laughter died. "You're serious?" he asked slowly. "I am," his father replied. "You have 1 month. Get the preparations done and marry her immediately." Williams stood up and stormed out of the room in anger. Back in his mansion, Williams paced the floor. "Me? Marry her?" he shouted. But deep down, he knew he had no choice. Without his father, he was nothing. Weeks later, the wedding day finally arrived. Williams stood at the altar wearing a fine black suit. His face was stiff with anger. Sharon walked in slowly, wearing a wedding gown. One eye was still covered. Her head was down. She looked like a girl walking into prison. The priest spoke. Williams mumbled his vows. Sharon whispered hers softly. "You may kiss the bride," the priest said. But Williams turned away. The guests whispered, "This marriage is punishment. This is karma." The wedding ended cold and silent. That night, Sharon moved into Mr. Williams' mansion. She sat alone on the bed, staring into space. She was now Mrs. Williams, but she felt like a prisoner walking into darkness. The first night Sharon spent in Mr. Williams' mansion was silent. The house was big, cold, and quiet. The walls were high, the rooms were many, but none of them felt like home. Williams did not come to her room. He slept in another room and locked his door. The next morning, he gave his first order as her husband. "I don't need a housemaid anymore," he said coldly. "I now have a full-time one." That same day, he fired all the house staff except his driver and gateman. Sharon became a maid in her own house. She cooked, cleaned, washed clothes, and swept floors until her back hurt. And every day, Williams insulted her. "You married me because of money," he said. "Don't come near my office. Don't show your face in my hotel." He roared. Sharon ate alone, slept alone, and cried alone, but she never complained. Mr. Hillary had given one condition before the marriage. Sharon must receive a weekly allowance. Williams hated it, but he agreed, and he decided she would suffer for every penny. When Sharon refused to leave the house or beg, Williams became more wicked. He started bringing women home. Every night, different women. They laughed loudly and mocked Sharon. Some asked, "Are you the cleaner?" Some called her blind rat. Sharon kept quiet, but something inside her was changing. One night, Sharon sat alone in her room and cried. She looked at the mirror, one eye blind, one heart broken. Then a thought entered her mind. "I am Mrs. Williams," she whispered. "What belongs to him now belongs to me." The next morning, she cooked William's favorite food and added something small. Not poison, just something to upset his stomach. That night, after eating, Williams felt strange. His stomach twisted. He rushed to the toilet, once, twice, 10 times, sweating, shaking, groaning. Sharon sat in the living room watching television and smiling. The next day, it continued. Williams couldn't go to work. He shouted, "What did you put in my food?" Sharon ignored him and walked away. That was the day fear entered William's heart. From then on, Sharon stopped shaking. When he shouted, she shouted back. When he insulted her, she insulted him too. Williams was shocked. The same girl who used to tremble now looked him in the eye. Who gave her this boldness, he wondered. Williams decided to punish Sharon, but Sharon was already ahead. One evening, she rubbed itching powder on his cowl. Williams came out of the bathroom scratching like a madman. He screamed and cried. For 3 days, rashes covered his body. He couldn't go out, so he stayed indoors. Williams began to fear her, but Sharon didn't stop. She went further. One morning, she spilled oil on the staircase. Williams didn't notice. He stepped on it and slipped, falling hard on his waist. His scream filled the house. At the hospital, the doctor shook his head and said, "You will not walk for 1 month. The injury is severe and it had a very bad impact on your waist." Williams stared at the ceiling in shock. The powerful man was now helpless. Williams returned home on a wheelchair. He couldn't move, he couldn't shout, and couldn't control anything. Mr. and Mrs. Hillary were out of the country. When they called Sharon, she told them calmly, "It was just an accident. I'll take care of him." But when the call ended, Sharon laughed quietly. She looked at Williams and said, "You're lucky it's just 1 month. I wish it was forever." Williams looked at her and saw something new: strength, fire, fearless eyes. For the first time, regret entered his heart, but pride sealed his mouth. While Mr. Williams lay helpless on the bed, unable to walk or control his own body, Sharon's life slowly began to change in ways nobody expected, especially not Williams himself. For the first time in a long while, Sharon stopped crying every night. She stopped seeing herself only as a victim. She remembered something important. She was no longer a housemaid. She was Mrs. Williams, the legal wife of a billionaire. That title alone carried power, whether her husband liked it or not. Each week, her allowance entered her account as Mr. Hillary had ordered. Sharon used the money carefully, not to impress anyone, but to rebuild herself. She bought clothes that fit her well and made her feel whole again. She chose soft perfumes, fixed her hair, and learned how to dress with quiet confidence. To hide her injured eye, she wore dark sunglasses. Instead of weakness, they gave her a bold, mysterious look. Her back stayed straight, her head held high. Sharon also began going out freely. She did not tell Williams where she was going, and he could not stop her. The driver took her wherever she wanted, and she returned home whenever she pleased. Sometimes she came back late in the evening, smiling softly, smelling of fine perfume, looking relaxed and alive. Williams lay on the bed, watching everything. He noticed how different she looked. He noticed how confident she had become. He noticed how the house no longer felt like a prison to her, but like a place she owned. Jealousy slowly crept into his heart, even though he refused to admit it. "Where does she go every day?" he asked the driver one afternoon. "I don't know, sir," the driver replied honestly. "She doesn't tell anyone." That answer made Williams angry, but there was nothing he could do. For the first time in his life, he was powerless, and the woman he once crushed was the one standing strong. One afternoon, during one of her outings, Sharon met someone who would change the way she saw herself. He was a young man, polite and calm, with a warm smile that made people feel safe. He did not stare at her injured eye or ask uncomfortable questions. Instead, he spoke to her like she mattered. He listened when she talked. He laughed at her jokes. He treated her like a normal woman, not a broken one. They met again, and then again. Soon, they started spending more time together. He kept her company, took her out, and made her feel seen and respected. With him, Sharon felt something she had not felt in a long time: peace. She did not tell him everything about her marriage, but he knew she was married and still treated her with respect. He never crossed boundaries, but he cared for her deeply. Meanwhile, Williams was watching from a distance. When he finally recovered enough to walk again, the first thing that shocked him was Sharon's transformation. Her skin glowed, her clothes fit perfectly, her confidence filled every room she entered. This cannot be the same girl, he thought. One weekend, Sharon invited her new friend to the mansion. They sat in the living room, talking and laughing freely. Their laughter echoed through the house. Williams heard it. His chest tightened. When the man left, Williams stormed toward Sharon and shouted, "You are a married woman. You have no right to entertain another man in this house." Sharon looked at him calmly and replied, "You brought women into this house when I was your wife. Now I am doing the same. Or does respect only apply to you?" Williams had no answer. That night, he couldn't sleep. For the first time, the pain he once gave Sharon was now sitting inside his own chest. Days passed, and Williams could no longer deny the truth. He had fallen in love with the woman he once despised. He watched Sharon closely, the way she smiled, the way she walked with confidence, the way she no longer feared him. each day, the jealousy grew stronger. One evening, he followed the young man outside and warned him to stay away from his wife. When Sharon heard what happened, she confronted Williams angrily, ready to fight. But instead of shouting back, Williams did something unexpected. He pulled her gently into his arms. Then he broke down. Tears filled his eyes as he knelt before her. "I am sorry," he said quietly. "I treated you like trash. I hurt you. I destroyed your eye and your heart. I was cruel, proud, and wicked. Please forgive me." Sharon stood frozen. This was the man who once mocked her, the man who punched her, the man who ruined her life. Now he was on his knees. "I will spend the rest of my life making it up to you," he continued. "I promise to love you, protect you, and treat you with respect." Tears rolled down Sharon's cheeks. She had waited so long to hear those words. She didn't speak immediately, but something inside her softened. Slowly, she forgave him. From that day, Williams changed. He stopped bringing women home. He stopped shouting and insulting. He started buying her gifts, cooking for her, and calling her "my queen." For the first time, they began to feel like husband and wife. One afternoon, Williams sat beside Sharon and held her hands gently. "I want to fix your eye," he said. "I know I can never erase the pain I caused, but I want to try." He arranged surgery abroad. Weeks later, Sharon sat in the hospital as the doctor removed her bandage. She opened her eyes. She could see, both eyes. Tears filled her eyes as she cried in joy. Back home, Williams waited anxiously at the airport. When Sharon walked out, no dark glasses, eyes bright and clear, he ran to her and hugged her tightly. The same man who once broke her had now helped her heal. Their love story was not perfect, but it was real. From pain came strength, from cruelty came change, and from blindness came a new vision, not just with the eyes, but with the heart. This story teaches that suffering does not define a person forever. Sharon did not become strong because someone saved her. She became strong because she chose to see her worth, even when her situation was unfair. The moment she stopped seeing herself as a victim, her life began to change. Respect for self always comes before respect from others. Never abuse power or look down on anyone. Life can change roles suddenly, and the person you hurt today may rise tomorrow. True strength is not in controlling others, but in treating them with dignity. A special thank you to everyone who watched from part 1 to the final part. Your love, comments, shares, and support mean more than words can express. You didn't just watch a story, you walked the journey with Sharon through every pain, every rise until the very end. If you reached this point, tell us the country you are watching from in the comments. Please stay connected to this channel for more deep, powerful, and unforgettable stories coming your way. See you in the next one.